What's more expensive, making a mistake or missing an opportunity? Why do so many people wait until the price goes up only to regret not buying when it was cheaper? Most people think regret is about making the wrong decision, but I'll tell you from firsthand experience, the real regret is not making the decision at all. I've made mistakes with my money, who hasn't? But when it comes to gold and silver, the biggest regret I hear all the time is the same one. I wish I would have bought more when it was cheaper. Yeah, I definitely can feel that one. But as I've grown both as a stacker and an investor, I've realized something deeper. It's like two sides of the same coin. On one side, we regret what we didn't buy. On the other, we regret the chances we didn't take, the moments we froze, the opportunities we let pass by. And the best way to prevent this is by addressing mistakes and regrets. What's really unfortunate is that from the time we were 5 years old, our educational system teaches us one message over and over again: mistakes are bad. So it makes sense that we grow up linking mistakes to regret, like there's something to be ashamed of, but they're not the same thing. Mistakes are about actions. Regret is the emotion that sometimes follows. And here's the truth: mistakes and regrets aren't bad if you know how to frame them. Let me say that again: mistakes and regrets are not bad if you learn how to frame them. As I shared in my last video, it took me a long time to figure that out. Mistake number one is trying to avoid and deny mistakes and regrets. Most people spend their lives trying to outrun them, but if you slow down and listen, they've got something powerful to teach. Whether regret becomes a burden or a tool for growth, that really depends on you. Mistake number two: not realizing what doesn't work for you might still be working on you. That failure, that bad decision, that missed opportunity, it's shaping you, it's refining you. It's trying to make you better if you let it. And while it's always better to not make mistakes or have regrets, when you can, don't run from them, run to them so that you can get the lesson, because that lesson will make you better, as I shared. That feeling when you say, I wish I bought more, that's not just regret, that's a signal, a moment of clarity. That's your future saying, let's do it differently next time. Before we move on to the next mistake, let me just say, what is good, Stackers University? It's so good to have you here with me today as we break the negative framing around mistakes and regrets so that you can move forward, stack smarter, and seize the next opportunity when it shows up. I know we are working through a list of mistakes and regrets, but let me pause for a moment and give you a critical life lesson, one that shaped how I view money and decision making in general. In both life and investing, it's not always about the outcome. It's about who you become through the decision. Before we dive into the next few mistakes, we need to explore two behavioral finance concepts that will absolutely change the way you invest forever, and I promise. Concept number one: loss aversion. This one is fascinating and it explains a lot of human behavior. Researchers found that losing $100 hurts twice as much as gaining $100 feels good. Let me say that again for the investors that are listening in the back. Losing $100 is two times the emotional pain of making $100. When you step back and think about that, it's kind of insane, but apparently it's also quite normal. That's loss aversion, the tendency to avoid loss at all costs, even if it means missing out on gains. And that loss aversion leads directly to the next four big mistakes most people make when investing. Mistake number three: avoiding what you perceive as riskier assets, which often means accepting lower returns for the illusion of safety. Mistake number four: holding on to losing investments too long because psychologically you don't want to realize the loss. Mistake number five: selling winners too early. Driven by fear instead of strategy, you become afraid that your gains will disappear. And mistake number six: selling during downturns. Letting short term fear overpower your long term opportunities. Just a real quick break. I want to pause for a moment and ask you a question. What if the real reason you're stuck or not where you want to be financially isn't about income or your spending? In fact, I know it isn't because I lived it. It's about alignment. And financial alignment comes from having a real plan, a personal blueprint. That's exactly why I walk you through this in this workbook, Your Financial Blueprint. It's the same process that helped me save $250,000 in 4 years. You can download it for free right now. Just head over to stackersuniversity.com, sign up for our free monthly newsletter. We'll email you the 18-page workbook immediately. Money back guarantee. Some of y'all will get that joke later. No spam, no hype, just the truth. Now, let's get back to our content. All of this leads to a second concept, one that's just as fascinating and just as dangerous: Opportunity loss bias. This is when people systematically kind of underestimate, ignore, or even misjudge the value of what they gave up when making the decision. Let me say this in other words that are a little cleaner. Instead of fully weighing the benefits of the next best alternative, we get tunnel vision. We obsess over the thing we choose and completely forget about what we left on the table. And this shows up in all kinds of stacking and investing behaviors, including these next four mistakes. Mistake number 7, choosing safe or suboptimal assets. You stick to physical gold and silver because it feels safe, but safe doesn't always mean smart, and comfort isn't the same as strategy. Mistake number 8, neglecting alternatives. You don't explore the other ways gold and silver could work for you. You never ask, what role could this play in a broader wealth plan? You just keep doing what you've always done, even if it no longer fits. Mistake number 9, emotional driven decision making. No matter what the math says, you buy overpriced metals because someone said sovereign coins would save you in the zombie apocalypse. Come on now, y'all. This is where fear overrides facts, and that rarely ends well. Mistake number 10, regret and hindsight. If an investment underperforms, you wish you chose differently. If it overperforms, you wish you would have bought more or hadn't sold so soon. Either way, you're driving your wealth decisions using the rear view mirror, and that's a guaranteed way to crash. Let me give you some real examples how I've worked through these mistakes and how many of you respond when I talk about these ideas. Whenever I mention mining stocks and managing the risk, I hear the same thing over and over again. That's too risky. Physical and silver gold only. But let's talk about the one that brought the most heat, leasing out 1,000 ounces of my silver. Yep, that one triggered all kinds of comments, especially the if you don't hold it, you don't own it, folks. And that's too risky. And what if they take your metals? Now, before we break down the real mistakes those comments highlight, let me pause and introduce one more behavioral finance concept. It's called recency bias. And this is when we place too much weight on recent events or stories we've heard or information that we can easily access. And we assume that they're more important or more likely to happen than they really are. So this always comes up in the comments, and someone brings up the one or two times someone had an issue retrieving their metals from a depository. But what about the 99.99% of the time when nothing goes wrong? That gets completely ignored. Truth is, there are plenty of people who lease their metals as a way to generate income. But instead of seeing the opportunity, many only see the way it could go wrong. Meanwhile, that 1,000 ounces I leased, it's earning me 12% return a year, paid in silver ounces every 3 months. It doesn't matter if silver is $32 or $42, I'm getting paid in ounces. And around here, we measure our wealth in ounces. The real issue isn't that leasing is too risky, it's that we've been trained to avoid risk instead of learning how to manage it. That's the real difference here. That's the difference between playing not to lose and playing to win. When you default to safe or familiar options, you often end up with underperforming assets. You're not making your money work hard for you. You're following the crowd, and guess what? The crowd isn't wealthy. So maybe it's time to start using a different playbook. If you want different results, you've got to do different things. Regardless, no matter what, it all starts in your head and your heart. Investing is much more about managing you and your emotions and making sure you only put good information in your head. In the comments section, which mistake hit you the hardest? Have you ever let fear stop you from making a move that could have paid off? And what happened? And what did you learn from it? Or if you're walking away with any value today, just drop an A plus in the comments so that everyone knows that you always stack smarter and never stop learning. That brings an end to the educational content portion of this video. And now I want to shift to opportunities. This portion of this video is sponsored by Giant Mining, US ticker BFGFF. Let's talk about copper. And how could we not? The discussion about copper is heating up and everyone seems to be concerned. Some are starting to refer to copper as the new oil. And that's probably for good reason. It's not just another metal, it's infrastructure, it's energy, it's national security, and the US needs it to compete, especially with China. And as you know, we're very far behind. In case you missed it, President Trump recently signed Executive Order 14213, putting copper on the priority list alongside aluminum and steel. In his words, quote, if we don't have it, we don't have a military, and frankly, we won't have a country for very long. Say what you want about the president, but that's not hype, that's just real talk. Copper demand is surging globally, especially as we transition into electrification, because there are billions of people who want to live like you and I, but supply, that's a real problem, as the industry is struggling to keep up. Global mine production is expected to peak in 2026, and we're looking for a 700,000 ton deficit as early as next year. That is a massive gap. More importantly, a massive opportunity. Now, here's where it gets real fun for stackers and investors like us. The company sponsoring today's video, Giant Mining, I'm going to tell you exactly why they're the copper play that's getting a lot of my attention right now. I first talked about them a few months ago when the price was 20 cents. And as of right now, it's down to 17 cents. First off, the location. And location matters, as we saw in Panama with First Quantum. Giant Mining's Majuba Hill project is in Nevada, one of the best mining jurisdictions in the world. This is a past producing mine with some serious upside. We're talking about historical output of 2.8 million pounds of copper, 184,000 ounces of silver, 5,800 ounces of gold, and even 21,000 pounds of tin. Over the last 4 years, the team has expanded the deposit significantly, and in September 2024, they hit their best intercepts ever. And then they followed it up with some strong results again just recently. Because the project is in Nevada, there aren't the same concerns about infrastructure because it's already in place: roads, power, water, transportation, ore stockpiles, even a processing area. This means millions of dollars that won't need to be spent when they get to the development stage. What I love is that this isn't some backwoods exploration play in an area where I need to Google it to find its location. The project is drill ready and fully funded for its 2025 program. Now, there's the opportunity. No dilution for 2025, more than likely, just my personal opinion. But I want you to look at it closely. Giant Mining shares, they're down 50% from its high of 38 cents in February. When I first did the video, they were at 20 cents. They went up to 38, and now they've retraced back down to 17. Not because of anything wrong with the company, but because of the broader market conditions. So right now, you've got a fully funded copper exploration program for 2025 with a major historic production, a proven team, and a global supply crunch that we all know is coming. And it seems to be trading at a nice little discount. As a doctor, that's not your doctor, I can't tell you what to do, but I can tell you this: I'm bullish on copper, I'm bullish on domestic production, and I'm paying very close attention to what happens at Giant Mining. Do your homework and don't go betting little Tommy's college fund on this. Thank you again to Giant Mining, ticker BFGFF, for sponsoring this portion of the video. Dr. Stacker out.